All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It is that time of the week, folks, my weekly picks in the world of the National Football League. Got this week started on the wrong foot as last night I picked the San Francisco 49ers to hold serve at home over the Los Angeles Rams. That was not the case. And the 49ers, more than likely, are going to be on the outside looking in of the playoff picture. I will definitely have more to talk about on that topic tomorrow. But nonetheless, with that said, we've got some tremendous games on tap for this Sunday, as well as a doubleheader on Monday Night Football. And with that said, here are my picks for week number 15 in this NFL season. Now you got the 12-1 Kansas City Chiefs traveling to take on the 3-10 Cleveland Browns. And we're talking about a team at this stage in the season with a record of 12-1 facing a team that has double-digit losses and more than likely is going to be picking in the top 5 of the NFL draft next spring. You would think that the team with the big winning record would be heavily favored. That is not the case. As Kansas City comes into this contest only favored by 4.5. Why? Because the Chiefs haven't been covering in recent weeks. And honestly, the Chiefs have not been covering for the bulk of the season. A lot of that, it's been coming down to a lot of last second plays, literally made by the Chiefs in order for them to go out there and win. And at the end of the game, at the end of the day, rather, Kansas City is the two-time defending Super Bowl champions. We all know that, but they're basically playing 17 Super Bowls a season. Why? Because they're everybody's litmus test each and every week. And at the end of the day, they're facing a Cleveland Browns team that, in spite of the fact that the Browns have only won 3 games, 2 of those wins have come against the Pittsburgh Steelers and Baltimore Ravens. Now, you got Jameis Winston at quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. He could throw you into a game. He could also throw you out of a game. You never know what he's going to do. This Chiefs offense has really lacked explosiveness. Will they find a way to get it going come Sunday against the Browns? We've got to wait and see. But nonetheless, Kansas City is favored by 4.5. In this one, the over-under is 43.5. I'm going to take the Chiefs to win by 10. I'm going to say Kansas City 27, Cleveland 17. Now in Nashville, you got the 3-10 Tennessee Titans hosting the 5-8 Cincinnati Bengals. And for Cincinnati, through all of their ups and downs, they're trying to find a way to hang around in that playoff picture in the AFC. But if you're Cincinnati, your backs are against the wall right now. We know about the duo of quarterback Joe Burrow and wide receiver Jamar Chase and the type of season that they are having currently for Cincinnati. It's just unfortunate that it doesn't show up record-wise for them. Nonetheless, this Bengals defense going up against this Titans offense led by quarterback Will Levis. I think that's going to be the big matchup that I'm keeping an eye out for right there. Cincinnati comes into this contest favored by 5.5. They're looking to make it 2 wins in a row after they beat the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. And I'm going to take the Bengals on the road by the score of 27-19. Now at the Superdome in New Orleans, you've got the 5-8 Saints hosting the 8-5 Washington Commanders. And for Washington, they're fresh off of their bye week. They're hopeful that allows them to get back on track. And they are also seeking their first winning season since 2016, as it's all about changing the culture for this organization. For New Orleans, I mean, they look like they might not have Derek Carr at quarterback this week. It wasn't pretty last Sunday, but they found a way to get a win on the road against the New York Giants. But the Saints are simply running out of bodies, and the Washington Commanders are the better team. I expect Jaden Daniels in his return to the state of Louisiana. Remember, he won a Heisman Trophy in that state, being the starting quarterback for LSU. I expect him to come out and ball out and have a big time game on Sunday. I like the combination of Jaden Daniels hooking up with wide receiver Terry McLaurin in this one. The Commanders are favored by 7.5 on the road. I'm going to take them by 2 touchdowns over the Saints. I'm going to say Washington 31, New Orleans 17. Now at the Meadowlands and MetLife Stadium, you're going to have the 8-5 Baltimore Ravens, another team coming off of their bye week, rolling into town to take on the 2-11 New York Football Giants. And for Baltimore, it's one of those where, plain and simple, the bye week could not have come at a better time. The Ravens have had their issues defensively. The Ravens have also had their issues on special teams. And who better to get back on track against than the Giants? For the Giants, they come into this contest as 16-point underdogs at home. So that just lets you know how things are going for the Giants. Not a lot of things going right for them offensively. It's going to be Tommy DeVito at quarterback, starting in this one for New York, and he's going up against the Ravens defense. A Ravens defense which has not been good this season, especially against the pass. But what threat of a passing game do the Giants have? This Giants defense, they got to try to go out there and find a way to stop Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, as well as running back Derrick Henry. Lamar Jackson only has like 2 losses, I think, in his career against the NFC. One came a couple of Sundays ago against the Philadelphia Eagles, and then, of course, a couple of years ago to the New York Giants. But nonetheless, Baltimore is favored in by 16 in this one. The Boo Birds are going to be out at MetLife Stadium, and I guarantee you there's probably some Giant fans who've already sold their tickets to the folks from Baltimore who have no problem making the trek up I-95 for this one. I'm going to take the Ravens to roll on Sunday afternoon by the score of 34-10. Now in Charlotte, you've got the 3-10 Carolina Panthers hosting the 5-8 Dallas Cowboys. And it's been a while since Carolina was favored in a football game, but guess what? That's what's going to happen this Sunday, at least right now, as the Panthers come into this contest favored by 3. Carolina's only won 3 games this season, but they are an upstart team that has been showing life in recent weeks. And more importantly, their young quarterback, Bryce Young, is looking more and more like he's not going to be a bust. For the Cowboys, it was a hard luck loss for them on Monday night. They've got a quick week. They got to try to figure things out as they take on the Panthers. Cooper Rush at quarterback for Dallas, of course, and I expect them to try to hook up with wide receiver C.D. Lamb. The Cowboys' passing defense has not been good. Looks like they're not going to have DeMario Overshown for the rest of the season, but you still got Micah Parsons out there rushing the passer. And if this Panthers offensive line cannot be able to slow down Micah, guess what? Bryce Young could be in for a long afternoon. But nonetheless, I think this has the makings of being one of the better games, especially in the 1 o'clock window on Sunday afternoon. Carolina is very competitive. They're playing a lot better than their 3-10 record would lead you to believe. But nonetheless, I'm going to take Dallas on the road in this one by the score of 24-19. Now, under the category of somebody's got to win, you've got the 3-10. Excuse me, I almost said 10-3 because they really should. They were expected to be 10-3 at this point this season, but nonetheless, the 3-10 New York Jets traveling to take on the 3-10 Jacksonville Jaguars. Somebody's got to win this game. And for the Jets, they found a way to lose another one last week on the road in Miami against the Dolphins. Now they're going to try their luck against another team from the Sunshine State. Jacksonville, the season can't end quick enough for them. The Jets are in that same category. Like I said, somebody's got to win. The Jets are favored by 3.5. I'm going to take them by a touchdown in this one by the score of 24-17. Now you got the 8-5 Houston Texans fresh off of their bye week as they are hosting the 6-7 Miami Dolphins. And for Miami, they're looking to hang around in that wild card picture in the AFC. They got a lot of teams in front of them, but the Dolphins know their backs are against the wall right now. But nonetheless, Miami has been playing better ever since they got quarterback Tua Tagovailoa back, and now they're going to be up against it in this game against the Houston Texans. The Texans are coming off of their bye week. They're at home. I'm putting the onus on the Texans defense. Can they find a way to slow down this Dolphins passing game? And can they put the pressure on Tua? That's going to be big in this one. I know people are talking about inconsistencies this year with second-year quarterback CJ Stroud for the Houston Texans. Bottom line is, it's not a sophomore slump. It's the fact that, hey, teams have more game film on him right now, and they know what he can and cannot do. I think Houston relies on their run game with Joe Mixon in this one. They're favored by 3 points at home. I think this is a back and forth affair. The last team with the football wins, and I'm going to go with Houston by the score of 31-27. Now, in the Mile High City, you got the Denver Broncos with a record of 8-5 hosting the 6-7 Indianapolis Colts, two teams that are in it in that wild card picture in the AFC. It hasn't been pretty at times for the Colts this year, but the bottom line is they're still in it. For the Denver Broncos, things are really coming together under head coach Sean Payton. He has his guy at quarterback in Bo Nix. You have a defense that flies around the football and gets after you as well. And I think this Broncos defense is going to make life tough or Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson on Sunday afternoon. Denver's favored by 4.5. The over-under is 44.5. And I'm going to take the Broncos in this one by the score of 27-19. Now, a big one that a lot of people are focusing on. You got the 10-3 Buffalo Bills making the short trip this week to take on the 12-1 Detroit Lions. Remember, last week the Bills went cross-country to SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, and they lost in a shootout to the Los Angeles Rams. Now, this is a much closer trip for the Bills to make this time around. And some people are looking at this like this could possibly be a Super Bowl preview. Definitely two of the better teams in the National Football League will be on the field in this contest in the Motor City. But nonetheless, we saw Buffalo score the touchdowns last week. They were super aggressive against the Rams. The Rams were also aggressive against them. And now they're going to face another aggressive team in the Detroit Lions. It's one of those, I don't expect a lot of punts in this game. Honestly, the team that probably settles for field goals first more than likely will lose. You have two of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. Josh Allen is having an MVP season for Buffalo. And what can you say about Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions? Ford Field is going to be electric on Sunday. These last couple of years under Dan Campbell, I have never heard Ford Field be as noisy as it has been. It reminds me of the old Silverdome in the early 90s with Barry Sanders and Wayne Fontes and the rest of those Detroit Lions. But nonetheless, I'm going to take these Lions at home by the score of 34-27. Now, it's a battle of the Quaker Staters. You've got the 10-3 Pittsburgh Steelers making the trek east to take on the 11-2 Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of controversy during the week for Philadelphia. The media was trying to make something out of an issue or an alleged issue with wide receiver A.J. Brown and quarterback Jalen Hurts. I don't know for a fact. I'm not in that locker room, but nonetheless, the Eagles want to try to get their passing game going a little bit better. But at the same time, they can run the football effectively with Saquon Barkley. I expect this stingy Steelers defense to try to go out there and try to stop Saquon, which means the Eagles could possibly have some opportunities in their passing game. For the Steelers, they look like a different team offensively with Russell Wilson at quarterback. Unfortunately for the Steelers, it's the second consecutive week that they're not going to have the services of George Pickens at wide receiver. Pittsburgh, they won going away last week against the Cleveland Browns at home, but we saw their offense, their passing game really struggle at times without George Pickens out there. They were able to get away with that at home against the Cleveland Browns. I don't see them being able to get away with it against a much better team in the Philadelphia Eagles. Hence, the Eagles are favored by 5.5 points in this one. And I think the Pickens injury has to do with that. But nonetheless, I'm going to take the Eagles at home by the score of 27-20. Now, in the desert, you've got the 6-7 Arizona Cardinals hosting the 3-10 New England Patriots. And of course, Arizona is right there in the mix. They're trying to hang with the Rams and the Seahawks to try to win the NFC West. And they cannot afford a loss here at home against the lowly New England Patriots. Arizona's looking to get back on track after they lost at home last week against the Seattle Seahawks. And the bottom line is they have to be more crisp on offense. More importantly, Kyler Murray has to play better. Can he do that against this Patriots defense? We got to wait and see. We've seen flashes with this New England offense with quarterback Drake May. definitely building points for them going forward. They just have to start putting more talent around him come the offseason. Nonetheless, for this contest, the Birds are favored by 6 points at home, and I'm going to take Arizona by 11 by the score of 27-16. Now at SoFi, you've got the 8-5 Los Angeles Chargers hosting the 7-6 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Both of these teams have their sights on the postseason. The Bucs are currently in first place in the NFC South, while the Chargers are right there in the mix for a postseason spot. I think this game comes down to the quarterbacks. We got Justin Herbert for the Chargers and Baker Mayfield for the Bucs. Bottom line is, can this Chargers defense get to Baker Mayfield, who is turnover prone, and force him into some turnovers? We've seen him in recent weeks. I'm talking about Baker Mayfield have a case of the turnovers, whether it's been fumbles or interceptions, and the Bucs have been able to overcome that because of the competition that they have faced. I like this Chargers defense going up against Baker Mayfield in this game, but then also Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert is a bit dinged up in this one. Will the Bucs defense be able to take advantage of that? But nonetheless, I think this is going to be a tight one throughout, as LA is favored by 3 at home, but I'm going to take the Chargers by 4, 24-20. Now on Sunday night, you got the Seattle Seahawks with a record of 8-5 as they're sitting atop the NFC West, welcoming the 9-4 Green Bay Packers to town. And of course, Green Bay has had some additional time to get ready for this one, as they lost last Thursday on the road to the Detroit Lions. The Seattle Seahawks, they've gotten back on track. They're running the football effectively with Zach Charbonnet taking some of that pressure off of quarterback Geno Smith. But you look at the Seahawks defense, can they get to Packers quarterback Jordan Love? That's going to be important in this one. And then if you're talking about matchups, I like the play that Xavier McKinney is having at safety this year for Green Bay. Can he go out there and make some plays off of Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith? The Pack is favored by 2.5 points on the road in this one. The over-under is 45.5, but I'm going to take Green Bay by a touchdown over Seattle, 31-24. Now, moving ahead to Monday night, it's an NFC North battle, as you have the 4-9 Chicago Bears traveling to the Twin Cities to take on the 11-2 Vikings. For the Chicago Bears, what can you say? After a promising season, it cannot end quick enough. The Bears have lost their last 7, and we just saw them get embarrassed on the road in Santa Clara last Sunday, courtesy of the San Francisco 49ers. On the flip side, you have a Vikings team that is believing in veteran quarterback Sam Darnold. Justin Jefferson continues to be one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League. And I think this Brian Flores defense is going to cook up something for Bears rookie quarterback Caleb Williams. The Vikings are favored by a touchdown in this one. I'm going to take them by a touchdown at home, 27-20. And finally, you have the 6-7 Atlanta Falcons trying to end their 4-game losing streak, and they're going to try to do it in the desert as they take on the 2-11 Las Vegas Raiders. The bottom line for the Falcons, and I've talked about this week, Kirk Cousins has to take better care of the football. And during this 4-game losing streak for the Falcons, Kirk Cousins has not thrown a touchdown, and he's thrown about 8 interceptions. You can't pay attention to the Raiders record because this team is competing for head coach Antonio Pierce. They are running out of quarterbacks. You saw Aiden O'Connell go down last week. He's done for the season. Same thing with Gardner Minshew. And now it's the Desmond Ridder show for the Silver and Black. He's just keeping the seat warm, because the bottom line is the Raiders are trying to get one of those top picks to either get Shador Sanders or Cam Ward at quarterback next season. Nonetheless, if the Falcons cannot get on track in this one, I don't think they ever will, at least with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. So the bottom line is, I'm going to take the Falcons to take care of their business on Monday night by the score of 27-13. So folks, those are my picks for this weekend in the world of the National Football League. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. If you like what you saw and heard on this podcast, please feel free to hit that like button, as well as subscribing to this channel. Now, also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now, you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. And I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.